Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. Today's guest is on a mission to cut through the noise and make leadership simple, actionable, and effective. Paul Morton is the founder of the Practical-Leadership.Academy, where he equips leaders with the real-world tools they need to inspire teams, manage complexity, and get results without the jargon or the fluff. With years of hands-on experience in guiding organizations and leaders across many industries, Paul has built a reputation for turning theory into practice, helping managers become leaders and leaders become visionaries. On today's episode, we'll dive into what practical leadership really looks like in 2025, how to balance empathy and accountability, and why the best leaders are more like guides than bosses. Paul, welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge.
Oh, cracking, Reed. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Delightful to be here.
Well, I'm again really honored to have you on the podcast. Can we start a little bit with your background and origin story and what inspired you to create the Practical Leadership Academy?
Well, with these origin stories, you always wonder where to start. So you have, a mummy and daddy love each other very much. And then, it's like, that's a bit too far back, right? So you dial it forward a little bit to the important stuff. And after trying pretty much every job that's client-facing out there, I landed in revenue leadership. Did that for very, very many years. Helped a company go through 2 exits, 2 acquisitions, and ended up being made redundant right in the middle of COVID. I've never been more grateful not to have to manage a team right in the middle of that. So that was a good moment. They handed me a bucket of money and said, please leave and don't let the door hit your backside on the way out. And it duly did not. So it was one of those urgent moments where you think, do I have to go and find a new job? Which of course you panic about. And then you settle down and you work out what a new job actually means and its security and did I have enough in the bank and all that. So I went from leading a team of 100 and whatever, delivering 70, $80 million revenues in 20 countries, which is a thing, having done itty-bitty startup to scale up to corporate to the whole thing. It's a wonderful experience. And then being out on my own. A guy came to me and said, can you help me do a thing? And I discovered the wonderful world of private equity and all their operators and all that sort of stuff. And that's what I'm doing just now is I'm working for a VC, working with a VC-backed training company as their chief exec. So I run a company called RUVR, which is a VR training company where you can train yourself and your businesses where it's too expensive, too difficult, or too dangerous to do that. But my side gig, my great passion is the Practical Leadership Academy, where I do a lot of work in the hours of darkness with companies focusing in on sellers and sales teams. It's always been my passion because sales is such a microcosm of life. It just is. It reflects all parts of how we exist and how we work, especially if you do it right.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's dive into that. I'm currently a marketing agency owner, but in the past I was in sales, and so I love to talk shop. Now, you talk about in sales leadership, practical leadership. So what would you say is the difference between theory-based training or leadership and the practical leadership that you teach?
Yeah. A lot of the theory that we encounter as sales leaders is around leading teams, right? So you've got a team of people to lead, and we've been taught how to do it wrong. Quite simply, it's just incorrect information that we've been handed because the teams that we lead are not teams that we typically experience in life. And most of the teams that people experience in life, the picture you have is like a football team, whether it's American or British, whether it's basketball or whatever it is. It's a group of people, specialists in their own area, driving towards a common goal. Sounds about right, okay? You ever heard a sales team that actually can be defined like that? No, that's not a sales team. A team of sellers is not a team of people working together towards a common goal. The only person who has the common goal in the sales team is the boss. Everybody else has their own target. And now they're very good team players, but they're not playing with each other. That's the biggest insight I think I found.
Yeah, and to go on to that point, I read some content you had about the football team mentality versus the parallel team mentality. Can tell us a little bit about that? I love these sports anecdotes in particular, and how does that come to be, and how does that look like in a sales
Right.
team?
You've got a team of football players, basketball players, don't care what the team is. And you've got somebody who is good at shooting a goal. You've got somebody who is good at stopping the goal being shot. You've got somebody who's good at passing the ball. You've got somebody who's good at different things. And you need all of them, all 11 of them, all 40 of them, all however many there are, in order to score a goal. So far, so good? Right.
Right, right.
Now, think more of an Olympic team, okay? You're trying to get medals, or trying to think of a group of golfers, okay? You're trying to win the league. Each individual is running as hard as they can, throwing their javelin as hard as they can, hitting that ball into the cup as fast as best as they can, but they're not doing it together. I don't rely on the other golfer. I rely on me and my caddy and my coach and the manufacturer of my golf clubs or the javelin or the whatever it is. I am part of a team, and it's a parallel team, not a horizontal team. I'm a specialist, but I'm similar to other people. I'm not different. The teams that we're used to being taught how to lead are different, and that's why they work together for a common goal. Okay? The technical term for this is they are interdependent. They depend upon each other to do the thing. A sales team, a team of priests, a team of teachers, a team of surgeons don't depend on the other surgeons to do their job. The only thing they have in common is the boss. And that is the start and the end of the problem.
Yeah, that is interesting. And having been on a number of sales teams, I have observed often some salespeople lean into the team dynamic too much, and almost as an excuse for maybe lagging behind a little bit, like not taking enough initiative, but being super willing to develop training and templates for the rest of the team. And it to me, as you're describing, this really resonates, because the individual contributors need to think of themselves as contributors, not as like the point guard
They're
or
not
the
collaborator, they're contributor. That's
right,
it, right?
right, right. And yeah, and so it's like, yeah, and like you say, it centers on the leader. The leader is the one that keeps everybody in their lane and keeps them moving towards the goal, but not he should discourage them. And I'll go back to my very first sales job. I worked with an individual who was just deep into his spreadsheets and had, was just building reports and all sorts of like wizardry in Excel and training documents. But yeah, but he didn't ever pick up the phone. And, so it didn't end up working out well for him in that role. So now, the elephant in the room, and I'm a marketing technologist, and I have just been fascinated by the changes in AI and how it affects marketing, how it affects sales, teams of all kinds. What do you think is the role of a sales team in light of the new tools we have with AI? How is that changing? Do sales teams need to reposition, or or are they still primarily relevant? I don't know.
I think salespeople will be one of the last to be replaced, frankly. Somebody came out a couple of days ago saying that they wouldn't be getting a job in law or medicine anytime soon because these things will be taken over by AI. Yeah, because they fit perfectly within it. The thing that salespeople do is the human interaction. It is, we deal with people, because unless you're dealing with decision-making tools, you're dealing with decision-making people. And people are not rational. People are rationalizing. People make an emotional decision first, and then they rationalize it with data. Okay? AI can't do that. Now, the thing that I've seen already is what happens with the A, Bs, and the Cs. You got the A players, you get the B players, and you get the C players. And we all want teams of A players, right? And if you give an A player good tools, even just corporate access to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever it is, they'll use it well, and they will do what they're doing better. They'll become A+. You give a B player access to these tools, they'll become B+. You give a C player access to these tools, they become a D. Because what happens is they're already shouting at walls and they're spamming like crazy. So now they're just going to do more of that, louder, right? And you must see this in marketing. Hang on a minute, I can have AI develop my entire marketing campaign and all the content and the frequency and the. Yeah. And you know what? Your AI is going to take the 2 lines of text that you prompted it with and write 5 pages of information. You're going to send it to me. My AI is going to take that 5 pages of drivel and compress it to 2 lines, and I'm not even going to read that. So the tools, if used correctly, can amplify success, but equally, like alcohol, they will amplify failure.
Interesting. So, I that resonates with me. I think there's tremendous opportunity, but at the same time, I think that the direct communications we have with each other have become even more novel and more more of a connection than they were in the past, just in light of how much content we're being thrown from AI engines. So just to pivot a little bit, I have always been fascinated. I've seen a few examples of this. A top sales performer is moved into a leadership role. And what I've found is that there often isn't a correlation between a top sales, like an individual contributor, translating to management. And so I've seen mediocre and poor sales reps being moved into management, surprisingly, and doing extremely well. Why is that? Why are the skill sets different?
I asked somebody once if there were particular leadership traits that you could look for, just as a conversation piece. And he said very firmly, no. Because the idea that you can lead anywhere it's not true. You do need a degree of technical specialism in some aspects. I think what you saw was a beautiful thing in action. You saw perfect promotion, because the typical disaster promotion is the best sales rep gets the job as a sales leader. And what happens then, if you're lucky, is your best sales rep turns out to be an average sales leader, and not everybody quits, and you do okay. But you don't get the leverage you're hoping for. What you want to be looking for is the best coach, the best leader of people, and promoting that person into the leadership role. Because if you promote the best seller you have into the leadership role, and they're not good at it, you've lost both the best seller, you've lost the leverage of the team, and people quit. So you lose in so many different ways. You want to hire somebody who burns for the success of others, who is driven by being in service of other people, by making other people successful. It's one of the 2 big things that I talk about all the time. Number 1, to salespeople themselves, is you're not actually selling the thing you're selling. You're selling the thing that happens after the thing that you've sold has been used, right? You're not selling a 2-inch drill bit, you're selling a 2-inch hole. In fact, you're not even selling that. You're selling a warm home with pictures of my kids on the walls. That's what you're selling. I put that up. The second is that the job of a salesperson's leader is to lead, is to make that individual seller more successful tomorrow than they were today. It's to unlock the greatness inherent in people. It's to serve the people that report to them. And if they get that in their head, that their job isn't to be the all singing, all dancing answer to everything, it's just to serve and to make people successful, make other people successful. That's 9/10 of the battle. So you find people who can do that, who are good coaches, then typically most sellers are actually good coaches. The really good ones are good coaches, which is why it's not such a disaster. But more often than not, they're a good seller for other reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And and going backwards, the analogy of a lot of top athletes, if we were talking about sports earlier, make terrible coaches.
Yeah.
They just don't understand, like everything maybe came so easily to them. They never really had to think about it.
So why are you so good, Sevi Ballesteros? So why are you so good, Rafael Nadal? I don't know. I just hit the thing, right? I just hit it and it works. And their coach is there going, yes, Rafi, of course you do. Of course. Coaches make a ton of money, but nowhere near as much as these guys because they can't do it. They can teach it, but they can't do it.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah. Well, and I have observed that some of the best, this may differ from other lines of business. A lot of the best salespeople stay in a individual contributor role their whole career, and they make a lot of money. They do great. And, whereas like if you were a tremendous marketer, you would move up or, become a CMO of something, in finance, same thing. You don't stay at an individual contributor role. But sales, it's like, like that individual contributor, if good, you want to keep him there and keep him happy. And so now I know you've worked with a lot of different industries. And, I imagine that covers services and products. And can you tell me some of the common patterns you see in teams that thrive versus teams that struggle? And mostly in context of, are there common themes that I could pass to the audience that they could use to coach their own teams, for instance?
Well, I'll give you one very big one. And it's the idea of President's Club. Okay, most people, if you've ever worked for any company of any reasonable size, top sellers, they go off to Maui for a weekend, right? Okay, or Croatia, or wherever it is, depending on your world. Top sellers, off they pop. Why? Because they sold the most. It's fair, isn't it? If you sell lots, you get to pop off and do your thing. Why do you have President's Club? Why is it there? Is it a reward for the top sellers? Is that the only goal? Is that it? Really? No. What is it? What's it for? It's to improve everybody else. It's competition. You've got 3 spots. You get 50 salespeople. You want to be one of those 3, right? Don't you? Don't you? Of course you do.
Yeah.
Does that number ever change? Very, very rarely. I've got data. I've got 5. I managed to get hold 5 years worth of CRM data. And it showed sellers over a 5-year period, changing as you would imagine. There's about 80 or 90 of them. And all this is in the gift I'm going to give away. It's a lovely little power-up playbook thing with some good data there. And it showed very clearly, jack all happens. The same successful people are still successful 5 years later. Nothing happens. President's Club, yeah, the same guys keep going on it. Doesn't motivate the middle. The bottom half, the bottom third, they all go anyway because you fire them or they quit. It doesn't motivate change. Competition doesn't change these things. That's not how you do it. If you want to fix your President's Club, you add a coach's badge. So the reason for going on it is you have to be voted on it as being the most valuable person by all your colleagues. Not the top seller. Maybe not just the top seller, but you've got to be the top seller and have added something to the collective knowledge of the organization. That's how you fix it. All of a sudden, you're engendering a culture of learning and sharing. Because if you say top 3 people go to Maui, are those top 3 people going to share how they got to Maui? Sure as hell not. No. So they're hoarding their knowledge. it goes as well. The other thing you were asking was, what does successful teams look like versus bad ones? I don't know how many pipeline meetings you've sat through. I've sat through more than I could ever possibly wish to. And they're mostly, if you'll excuse me, tight. They're absolute drivel. You've got a room full of 12, and I've run them for years. I've run them like this. And then I realized, what am I doing? 12 people in a room, 12 sellers from a team. And you say, let's go around your top 3 deals if you're lucky. 66 deals later, the guy at the end wants to hang himself. The guys at the beginning have tuned out and they're checking their Blackberries. I'm that old, right? So nobody's paying any attention. That's your meeting, not theirs. So people can come to you trying to manage a sales team like it's a football team, and they don't care. They don't work like that. If, however, you said, right, we're going to go and we're going to manage this differently. We're going to think about how we run our pipeline meetings in a new way. We're going to have a standard of the week. Who had a significant win or loss that we can learn from this week? Walk me through the exact steps. What was that email that you sent? What was the subject line? What was the question that you asked that opened the door? Give me all the details there. And you capture it in a rolling playbook, right? You can then think about who's stuck in a problem right now. Give me a specific problem, not just, oh, I've got a tough client, but I've got a client who won't reply to this proposal email. And you call it a who-do meeting. Who do you want to do what for you at your client? Okay. Anybody faced this before? Anybody got some ideas about what has worked? Collective intelligence. So you as the leader, your role is then a facilitator, a coach, not the problem solver. You're getting people to solve their own problems. You're getting people to come together to learn together, right? And then you have the standard of the week. So what's one standard? What's one tactic? What's one thing we're all going to try and get to this week? Okay, this week, everybody's going to try the 3-sentence follow-up that Sarah over there suggested. That makes it actionable. It makes it something you can follow up the next time you have it. Who tried that last week? Oh, I did it. It was great. It didn't work for me. Why not? You've got you're building a learning culture. You're building this shared intelligence there. So you see bad pipeline meetings, so you fix bad pipeline meetings.
That is some great and actionable advice. I really like that. And it's true. I've sat through many pipeline meeting where it was, it felt very repetitive.
Humiliating, actually. Humiliating
right.
for some people.
Right.
You're pointed at that. That's horrible.
Right.
It's truly horrible. And you're sitting there waiting for your turn like you're about to be tortured, because you are mentally about to be tortured.
Right. Right. Well, and it was almost more about establishing manager's dominance
we don't need that.
than it was doing anything productive.
We don't need that anymore. We never needed that.
No. Well, so follow up to that. So many leaders are really focused on the accountability piece of the part of managing a sales team to an extreme. It's ruling with an iron fist. And then others, there is the opposite extreme where they are super empathetic and just want to listen and allow the sales reps to wallow and complain and take their side to an extreme extent. How do you coach people how to balance those two forces?
For the individual sales leader, there's something they need to understand, and that their team is not the people who report to them. Their team is their peers. Okay? It's the other people who report to their boss. That's their team. So they need to work together at that executive level, that leadership level, with other people. If I'm the sales leader, I need to work together with the marketing leader and the CS leader and the other guys and girls at my level. That is my team. Okay? So that's an understanding, because then I'm operating at a business level and not at a, junior league little bubble of happiness and cuddles. Okay? We're not going to get these people to cuddle around and sing Kumbaya. Okay? It's just not going to happen. And if you're trying to make that happen, you're going to fail, or people will quit, or they'll just ignore you because you don't understand how sales teams work. Number one, that's the thing. You try to push people to be collaborative, and they're not. They are, but not with you, not with each other. Your job is to be that facilitator of learning and the coach. Second thing, as you mentioned there as well, as we talked about it before, let's talk about that, the competition. You say, well, I got to the top of the tree by being competitive, so I'm going to make you competitive. Okay, fine. You're just going to waste a lot of money, a lot of time, and piss off a lot of people because most people are never going to get to Maui. They're just not. And nothing will change. Number 3, as you said, is letting it go. I'm going to empower you to be your own boss and step back and go and hide behind my spreadsheet because this leadership thing is scary. And yeah, these are the three biggest things that I see all the time. Accountability is so easy if you do it right. And there's a lovely thing, it's very simple, it's called tight, loose, tight. You're very tight about the why and the what I want done. You're very loose about the how, and you're very tight about the when and the how it was eventually performed. It will be performed. So you go in tight about the measurable outcome that we want. You want to know with no ambiguity, how do we know that this has been done successfully? And you say, what are the guardrails or the constraints that exist within this task that I'm giving you? So you've got to use the right budget template. This is the firm deadline. This is the format that it needs to be delivered in. And then you go off they pop. They're away doing their thing. You've got set, though, a time when you'll check in on progress. So I'm going to check in here and here, not to micromanage, but to support. You're checking in, you're not checking up. Okay? And then the delivery on that, the tight at the end, is you're very tight about the deadline, the format, and the fact that it needs to be delivered on time. Tight, loose, tight. So you get people to be accountable. And very simply, you say, are you on track with this task? No, I'm not. What do you need to be on track? Oh, you don't say, why are you not on track? Why haven't you made your bed? Why haven't you tidied your room? Because I haven't, Dad. Leave me alone. Get off my back. Okay? What do you need to have done before you can go skateboarding? I need to have tidied my room. Good. What do you need to get back on track? What tools do you need? What access do you need? What resources do you need to get back on track? That's it. Are you on track? Yes, no. What do you need to get back on track? Accountability 101. Done. So simple.
Yeah, no, I love it. Paul, I love what you said. I feel like you are giving us a lot of good things that we can implement in our business. Now, I'd love to point people to you and, those that are interested in our audience. First, how can they find you? And then second, I know you've talked about there's a gift that is available to people that reach out to you. Love to hear about those two, and I can include links in the show notes.
Great. Well, you can find me ubiquitously on LinkedIn. My team and I, we post a ton of stuff. I have my own little leadership podcast called Leadership That Sells, which is also the name of the program that incorporates these 3 things. Dead easy, dead fast. It's a super fast power up for your sales leaders. It's 3 Zoom calls covering the 3 big things and some coaching. And you can find me at the Practical-Leadership.Academy website, which is also where you will find our free gift, which I'm sure there'll be a link in the show notes, like you said there. It's practical-leadership.academy/gift. And it's a power-up playbook. It's a practical toolkit for leaders of high-autonomy teams.
Awesome. And I love your URL. It's very easy to remember, Practical-Leadership.Academy, which is perfect branding. Well, Paul, this has been a real pleasure, and I look forward to future conversations. I would point anybody that is looking to level up their sales team to reach out to Paul. And this has been a great episode. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
My pleasure. Thank you, Reed.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.